Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here. We'll get started. So I just want to introduce our special forum presenters and thank them for being here. Thank you all for doing this forum on responding to our individual and collective trauma through healing, which is very much needed, as we know, in this time we are living. So let me just do an introduction of our presenters. And I'm also the Reverend Tina Dio. I serve here as the minister, and I use she, her pronouns. So thanks all for being here today. We have Andrea Hill here today, who is a marriage and family therapist who works with individuals, couples, and families as they move through life challenges towards greater flexibility and resilience. She enjoys guiding clients toward perspective shifts that bring freedom, ease, and purpose, allowing each person to find and celebrate their essential self. So thank you, Andrea, for being here. Kate Barnhard is here with us, is a nurse and a HeartMath certified practitioner and trauma-sensitive HeartMath certified practitioner. Those are two different things, I'm guessing. We'll find out more. Okay, yes. So HeartMath certified practitioner and trauma-sensitive HeartMath certified practitioner. She is also the founder of Living Resonance, a nature-based coaching and education practice supporting children, teens, adults, and families with stress, anxiety, emotional regulation, and resilience. And she blends HeartMath, heart coherence tools, HRV biofeedback, nervous system regulation strategies, and practical skill building to help clients feel calmer, clearer, and more connected. So thank you. And Tom is also here, and some of you just heard him speak with us today, has been counseling for over 30 years and is licensed in New Mexico and in British Columbia. And he specializes in the treatment of grief, trauma, and helping others navigate life's complexities and challenges. He guides clients into a deeper experience with the heart, body, and consciousness, using insight-oriented and depth psychology perspectives. He is an author, having published 9 books and many Substack articles. So let us give them a warm welcome for being here today with us. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And I will hand it over to them, yeah. Oh, and I have some handouts, which I'll make some more copies of, because I only made 20, so we'll need more.
Okay, all right. Can you hear me? This is on. Okay. Are you okay with us sitting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put the microphone
Closer?
Yeah, it's a little harder to hear when it's down.
Okay. All right. So we have a lot of material to cover, so I'm glad we have the 3 hours today to do this. So if you need to leave early, try not to leave more than 5 or 10 minutes early, because it will offend us. But so this talk grew out of some conversations that I had with Tina, and probably a lot of other humans too, because there's just a whole lot of trauma going on in our lives, in the world. I'd like to get a show of hands of those who have not experienced trauma. Okay, good. You came to the right talk. There may be another one down the hall. But I had explained to her that some of the work that I do in British Columbia is working, well, an associate of ours, Dr. Jim Keats, he runs programs and he responds to, well, first responders, and British Columbia doesn't have many mass shootings, but they did have one a few weeks ago in Tumbler Ridge, if you probably heard about that. And so he responded to that as a trauma specialist. So he and I are part of a trauma specialist team, and we hope to, possibly with Andrea and Kate and others, to be able to respond to trauma there in that place. But we don't have to go too far, because we've all had it in any number of ways. And so that's why we're talking about this today. I'm not kidding, we do have a lot of material today, and I'm supposed to take 5 minutes, but it's already been 10, so I don't know how long we're going today. We'll try to end at a reasonable time. And so, but I wanted you to know that I do have a Substack self-promotion here that it's called Trauma Responders. So look for that. But it's a bunch of articles about this topic. So pretty much a lot of what we're going to talk about today is in the form of articles on that Substack page. But I suppose you've noticed what's going on in these here parts and all over the world, really. And I was reflecting on this yesterday, and I was thinking, I don't remember it being so tense and stress-filled ever in my life than more recently. So there's just a whole lot that we have to do to breathe, to move the energy through our bodies. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I want to hurry so we can get to the end and just do exercises. But we want to set it up too. But I wanted to say a few things about trauma, that trauma is not what happens to us. It's what happens inside of us as a result of what happens to us. So that's important. And it is the body's nervous system response to experiences that overwhelm our capacity to cope. So because you're having trauma responses, and I don't like PTSD, by the way, because it's not a disorder. It's something that happens every time anyone goes through trauma. So it's PTSR, post-traumatic stress, whatever the letters are, post-traumatic stress response. So it's a natural response, and you're not weak because you do it. And you're not weak because you're full of stress and you come here wondering what the hell these people are going to be talking about. And I wonder too, but they have some good things to say, I know it. But trauma can arise from a single overwhelming event, that's acute trauma, and from prolonged difficult circumstances, which is called chronic trauma, or from collective experiences shared by communities, cultures, or generations, which is called collective trauma. It lives in the body as much as the mind. And so Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, who wrote a book called The Body Keeps the Score, something that if you're really interested in this topic, you ought to listen to on Audible or read the book. He said, trauma is not the story of something that happened back then. It's the current imprint of that pain, horror, and fear living inside people. So trauma, according to Gabor Mate, he sees trauma as a disconnection from the self. So that may make sense to you, that there's something where you feel disconnected and maybe lack wholeness, you don't have it all together. Something seems to be fragmented. So in what we know, and I'm going to give a segue here to Andrea, because she's going to talk about the brain and the body more specifically, but it does impact the nervous system regulation. And some of you might feel that on a daily basis. But then there's parts of the brain like the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the prefrontal cortex that are impacted by trauma. So they hit us hard. They hit us very hard. And so that is my little chat on trauma. And I want Andrea to go here. She's going to say some things about the autonomic nervous system, neuroplasticity, and the vagus nerve, or something else. I don't know what she's going to say.
Okay, so the body keeps the score, and the body's recording all of our life experiences, including what we made them mean, and whether that's from direct trauma in our lives, or we read the news and get terrified, or maybe we go on social media and we feel bullied and othered. All of that can enter our bodies, and what is the body going to do with it? So that's where the nervous system comes in, because it regulates all of our stress responses. And there are two wings. You might remember this from high school science. The autonomic nervous system has two branches. The sympathetic branch is activated by the perceived threat. So even if it's not a threat, but we perceive it as a threat, we're activated. And the sympathetic, or the parasympathetic branch then brings us back to what we call rest and digest, or safety and social connection. So those two aren't, like one's all off and the other's all on. Those are kind of like maybe the gas and the brake. We don't want to push them both at once, but they work in tandem with each other. So they help us to swing back and forth as needed if we're not like creating more scenarios in our minds about what might happen next and developing this hypervigilance about life and what's a threat all around us. So how does that help us? If it's autonomic, it's on autopilot, how can we change that? Like, what are we going to do? So our understanding of this has been helped along a lot by Dr. Stephen Porges, who developed Polyvagal Theory. And his idea is that the parasympathetic branch actually has two pathways, one toward the social connection and safety that we mentioned, and the other one is the dorsal pathway, which goes toward shutdown and collapse. So if you think about a ladder where the top of the ladder has the safety, I don't know why the top of the ladder is safe, but anyway, if the top of the ladder is the safety, the ventral state, you start paying attention to what state of arousal am I in. So at the top of the ladder, you're open, ready, you're soft gaze, you're looking in people's eyes, and you're able to engage, and you're feeling good, like hopefully we are today at church. And then you go down a few rungs and you start getting activated. There's more threat here. Uh-oh, do I need to fight? Do I need to flee? That's what we're familiar with as the racing heart, and can become kind of a chronic state of wondering what's going to happen next. Do I need to be afraid? And that can really create a lot of damage to our organs if we stay there very, very long. So we want to also include the understanding that if we stay in that state too long, it's like we throw a circuit breaker and we go to shutdown mode, and it's just all too much. And we go to the dorsal vagal state of arousal, and we don't want to be there too long because we're going to get, just not go out of the house, be depressed. It's not a good place to be, so we got to climb back up the rungs of the ladder and try to get to those higher level states of arousal. So why is all of this important to know? Just so that you can be aware, what state am I in, so that you can take steps to change your state. And the practices that we're going to talk about very shortly will help us do that. And one concept that I want to have you think about as we're going toward those activities is Dan Siegel's idea of the window of tolerance. So if you think of the window as being the ideal state of arousal for engaging socially and following our values and doing all the good things in response to whatever's going on that make us our best selves. And then above the window of tolerance is that hyperarousal state of too much activation in the nervous system and the fight or flight. And below the window of tolerance is the hypoarousal, which leads us to depression and shutdown. So sometimes we have a very narrow window of tolerance. Any little thing activates us either to hyper or to hypoarousal. And what we want to do is expand that window with practices that engage the nervous system in ways that help it come back online, bring our prefrontal cortex back online, calm our amygdalas, which is that smoke alarm in the brain telling us this is dangerous, and we might start thinking that about everything. So we want to intentionally and consciously engage in these practices to expand that window so that we're building our neural networks in our brain to have easier access to them. So it's kind of like if you go to the gym, you work out your muscles, it's easier to lift something, right? And so if we practice these things in our brain and with our attention, then we find it easier to go to a place of more calm and safety, because we have basically built the neural pathways toward it, so it's easier for our brains to get there. So that's the reason why we're doing these things. And Kate is going to tell us about some really interesting technology that gives us biofeedback so that we can practice being in those states, know when we're in that state, have it as a felt sense in our bodies to return to.
Okay, please place one hand over your heart. Now take a deep breath. Thank you. You've just done something that most of us overlook. You brought your attention into the body, specifically into the organ that, for millennia, humanity has recognized as a seat of wisdom, courage, and love. Science has recently caught up with the poets and the mystics that they always knew. I've spent years working at the intersection of heart physiology and human resilience by being a nurse for 24 years, working with small babies all the way to adults now in cardiac rehab here at the hospital. And what I want to offer you today is this. Your heart is not just a pump. It is an intelligence, and it is one of the most powerful tools for healing. I want to talk a little bit about the science, just 3 key facts. The HeartMath Institute, based out of California, has been researching the heart-brain relationship for over 30 years. They have published nearly 300 peer-reviewed articles, and I just want to give you 3 findings that change how I understand trauma and healing. Number 1, the heart has its own brain. There are approximately 40,000 sensory neurons in your heart, enough to form what researchers call the heart brain. This neural network can learn, remember, and act independently of the brain in your skull. The heart isn't receiving orders from headquarters, it's sending them. These neurons learn, remember, and also think independently. The heart is the first organ to form in the embryo. The heart stores emotional memory, even across timelines. This is why heart transplants sometimes transfer memories. Number 2, the heart leads the brain, not the other way around. About 90% of the neural fibers in the vagus nerve carry information upward or afferently from your heart to your brain. The heart's rhythmic patterns directly influence the higher brain centers that govern perception, emotion, memory, and reasoning. When trauma dysregulates our heart rhythm, it dysregulates our entire inner world. And when we calm the heart, we begin to restore the whole system. Number 3, heart rate variability. The signature of resilience. Heart rate variability, also known as HRV, is the natural beat-to-beat interval and variation in your heart rhythm. It's one of the most powerful indicators of nervous system health we have. High flexible HRV signals resilience, emotional regulation, clear thinking, and vitality. Trauma, chronic stress, anxiety, they all suppress HRV. The heart rhythm becomes jagged, erratic, and disordered. Here's what's remarkable. We can deliberately shift that rhythm using breath techniques that we'll teach in a little bit, or I will, and it can work as fast as 1 to 3 minutes. The bridge, coherence. What coherence actually means. HeartMath calls the optimal state coherence, a condition in which the heart, mind, emotions, and nervous systems are synchronized and working in harmony. In coherence, the HRV pattern becomes smooth and wave-like, almost like a gentle tide. The brain literally entrains to the heart's rhythm. The body enters a state of calm alertness, not sleepy, not anxious, but present, clear, and open. From this state, the research shows your cortisol or stress hormone drops. DHEA, a vitality hormone, rises. Immune function improves measurably. PTSD, or you might want to call PTSR, hyperarousal and anxiety symptoms significantly reduce. And here's the one that moves me most. Coherent heart rhythms from one person can be detected in the brain waves of a nearby person or animal or plant. The human heart is the strongest electromagnetic organ in the body, generating a power electromagnetic field that is roughly 5,000 times stronger magnetically and 100 times stronger electrically than the brain. Its rhythmic field measures up to 3 feet away measured by magnometers. So imagine a 3-foot diameter of an electromagnetic field around your body. This field is around you. This field interacts with any other living thing around you, including plants, animals, and other humans. We are not separate islands. we regulate each other. And when you practice coherence, you don't just heal yourself, you become a resource for those around you. And then I want to talk about a practice called quick coherence. This is a technique validated in hospitals, schools, clinical trials, and military settings worldwide. It takes about 1 to 3 minutes, and it produces a measurable physiological change. You can see it on an HRV monitor in real time, which they call biofeedback. I'm going to guide you through it. Feel free to close your eyes, or a soft downward gaze is fine. Whatever feels comfortable for you, just follow along. Please focus your attention in the area of your heart. Imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area, breathing a little slower and a little deeper than usual. Find an easy rhythm that's comfortable. As you continue heart-focused breathing, make a sincere attempt to experience a regenerative feeling, such as appreciation, gratitude, care, or compassion for something or someone in your life. It could be a loved one, a pet, a meaningful place, a memory of being supported, the place you just walked. You can slowly come back. How do you feel? What changed in your body? What changed in your thoughts? What helped the most, the breath, the memory, or the image? What got in the way? What this has to do with trauma? Trauma does something very specific. It disrupts the felt safe of safety from the inside. It teaches the nervous system that the interior of the body is not a safe place to live in. Coherence practices do the opposite. They build safety from the inside out, not by fixing the past or resolving the story, but by creating a repeatable bodily experience of, I am okay right now in this moment. My heart knows how to do this. This is what HeartMath calls the inner signal. And with regular practice, it becomes a resource you can access anywhere. At your desk, before a hard conversation, in the middle of the night when the old fear arises. The heart remembers safety even when the mind has forgotten. When you've been given tools today by Tom, by Andrea, and now this one, what matters is not which technique is best. What matters is that you return to one of them, any of them, when the waves come. Because healing isn't a destination you arrive at. It is a practice you come back to over and over with gentleness. In a community like this one, people gathering, breathing together, being witnessed, this is not a nice extra. This is medicine. Thank you for being here, and thank you for choosing this.
Thank you, Kate and Andrea. So notice our progression. We talked about trauma and begin to introduce its impact on the nervous system. And then Andrea went into the brain and the other systems of the body, the autonomic nervous system. And then we started talking about the heart and HeartMath. And I would, HeartMath, they've done a lot of research, and they have writings that you would probably really enjoy if you haven't gone to their website yet. They have something that I encourage people to go to that's free. It's called the HeartMath Experience. And you can learn a lot of their basic practices and breathing protocols. So we love HeartMath. I think we're not doing too bad on time. So but I don't want to. I want to make sure we get through the exercises too. But the final area before we get to exercises is to talk about community and how we don't do anything in isolation. Okay, yeah, you do some things in isolation, but we all need our own charge time by ourselves. But when you think about what it means to heal, healing does not occur in isolation. We need each other. We need our alone times, but we need our together times. We need our connection. So the nervous system evolved in relationship. And genuine healing happens in community. So we're gathered here as a community. And we all may not know each other, but we may soon, even better. And it's just nice to know that we've come together with this conversation about how we can manage this life that we're living and how we can move through it. And we're doing it together. And I need you, and you need me. We all need each other in a way, because we're all one. I always like to say that that whole oneness thing, unity of consciousness. Before we got here, we must have been much more connected. And I've studied with Dr. Sue Morter, and she says that we came here and we went splat, and we individuated, and we all became separate in a way, just to do our own stuff, right? And because we're on our own healing program. But then where do other people fit in? Well, they're the ones that bug the crap out of us, so they're triggering us, and we need them to do that, and then we're doing it to them, and then we need to heal together. So community is so important because it comes down to what we can do, not just what our problems are, but how we can admit it and be honest and heal together and realize that we're one. We are connected beyond belief, beyond creed, beyond gender, beyond anything. We're all one and we're connected. And we've been impacted by a book that we used in the meditation group a couple of years ago, The Way of Mastery, and it says things like this, that love is all there is, and only love heals. So why did we talk about all this? Because it's good information, but it also what's good information, it will lead us into this, that it's about love, and we come into our oneness together in community, and we express love. We love, and then it's the love that heals. So hopefully that makes sense. But I think I'd like to do some exercises now, and then we can have a question and answer time. Okay. So one of the first one that I'd like to do is I already did during the talk time during the service earlier, and it's the thing that I do around the house, and I do it like at the store, and people might get disturbed by it. My wife doesn't anymore. She knows like why I do that, so she might laugh at me, but that's another story. But I'll do something like this. So when someone does that, what's the first question? What's wrong with what's going on? And then really, what's the answer? Nothing. Nothing now. I'm good. You might do that now. She says, I disturbed you? But you might go run along and do that. So that's the first one. And I mentioned in the talk earlier with Tina the 4-7-8. And so this is a repeat, but not everybody was at the service today, maybe. But I'll just let's do it. Let's all do it together, and you all get to spend several rounds of a few minutes of meditation with Kate, and you'll do it with Andrea too. And all I want you to do is put your attention on the inside. Close your eyes. Begin that breathing, the gentle breathing. Make it soft, very slowly, in through the nose, down, and down, into the belly, and then back up. Now we're going to adjust that. Remember some numbers, 4, 7, 8. Or you can make up your own numbers. But let's do 4. Let's breathe in on the inhale all the way down to the belly in about 4 seconds. And hold it for 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then exhale out through the mouth or the nose for 8 seconds. Yeah, and you can keep doing that if you'd like. Bring your attention back here. So that's 4, 7, 8. If you have other numbers that are your favorite numbers, try not to go above 20 or 30, but 4, 7, 8's good. I've heard of, I don't know, 6, 7, 9, I don't know. I've heard different numbers, different people do it, but whatever you want to do, whatever's comfortable for you, or not even count at all. Just know that the slow and gentle breath in, and then holding it, and then sending it out. That, the first sigh is called the physiological sigh, the out breath. Let's do it all together, that first one. I forgot to have you guys do it. So let's do it. Breathe in, and then blow it out. Don't you think that helps? So the physiological sigh, the 4, 7, 8 breathing, which is the nervous system reset. And now Andrea is going to do the next one.
Yeah, on those first two where you're breathing out so fully and longer than you breathe in, part of what happens is you are breathing lower into the diaphragm, and that is a signal to your brain that you are safe and calm. Oh, we're not breathing from up here, from our lungs. That must mean we're not in fight or flight. So our bodies and our brains are constantly sending those messages back and forth about what's going on, what do we need to do about it. So this next one is fun to do to anchor yourself to the present moment with your senses, and it's really fun to do with kids because teach them about, the 5 senses, and they have to try to remember. Part of the idea is we give our brains something to do, because if our brains don't have anything to do, they might worry or be turned to that neural network about, what's going on in the world and how bad it is or how bad it might get. So let's all do this right now, noticing 5 things that you can see around you. And you could look for colors, shapes, just look around at people and count to 5. So sometimes our vision can narrow down, and we want to expand that, which is another signal to the brain that we're calm and safe. We're looking around, connecting visually. Next, we're going to touch 4 things. This can be, your bottom on the seat, for one, your feet on the floor, since, I don't always use touch for 4 different things because it's a little harder to touch one another. Touch your hair.
Touch the carpet.
Touch your different clothing that might have different textures. Feel that. Notice the temperature and the texture. Then 3 things you can hear, near and far. Let's all be quiet and see if we can hear anything. You might hear a clock ticking or people breathing, paper shuffling. What are 2 things you can smell? Your hair. Is there something you can taste right now? Is there something in your mouth? Take one slow breath and notice notice that you're here now in this body. So we're back grounded, we're more settled in our physical selves, and we have activated the prefrontal cortex with our thinking about the senses and the counting. That can also help interrupt loops of trauma and negative thinking. Next, we have a practice that's a major part of EMDR, which is a therapy for trauma. Before you even start addressing trauma in EMDR, you build this safe place visualization. And this is also fun to do with children. We were visiting our grandkids recently, and my 4-year-old granddaughter had a whole place that she's imagined, and I was like, you have opened my eyes, because I didn't think about a safe place that wasn't in the physical world, because she's thinking about, another planet where it's all people who love her and all things that she enjoys, and all of the furnishings are made out of candy and things like that. So it was fun to talk to her about that. So most people have thought about, what is a special place to me? What is a safe place that I feel good in? So if you've got that ready, go ahead and go there. Close your eyes. Soften your gaze downward. Where do you feel completely safe and peaceful and at ease? Let the image come forth, noticing colors, light, surroundings. Do you feel sun on your skin? Do you feel wind? What are the sounds around you? The temperature? The smells in this place? Each time you visit, maybe more things come to light. Maybe more parts of this place catch your attention, and you can build it. It can change. All right, now as you feel your body settling into this special, safe place, what do you notice your body doing? Where do you notice ease, relaxation, unclenching? Bring in a feeling of appreciation for this place, and give the place a name, even just a word. And as you encode that felt sense of this safe place in your body, you can return here anytime. You don't even have to take as much time as we just did. You can feel it and return here. All you have to remember is the word stop and the letters to remind yourself of how to do this. And, ideally in these practices, you'll kind of do them where you
Hello?
Thanks. So S is for stop. Picture yourself doing this in the middle of your day, at work or at home, or turning off the news and doing this. Pause completely for a moment. T, take a breath, one full conscious breath. O, observe. Notice what is happening in your body, emotions and thoughts, without judgment. Just notice. P is for proceed. Continue with greater awareness and intention. P can also be for pursue your values. Is there something you can do to make things better? Now you can go forth and do it without bringing all that baggage with you. Practice this throughout the day, especially at transition points. This brings in the wise mind and interrupts automatic reactivity.
Okay, this last one is humming and toning. This helps stimulate your vagus nerve. So you can sit comfortably, take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, you're going to hum or tone a single note, any comfortable pitch, and don't be embarrassed, just let it out. Go in. Ooh, that was lovely. You can feel the vibration in your chest. You can feel it in your throat, in your face. Let each hum last as long as your breath allows. And you can repeat this up to 5 to 10 times. You can also try VOO or any kind of low consonant sound. Sometimes I call it the rainbow chant, and I'll go through A-E-I-O-U. And I just slowly go through. Notice how your body feels afterwards. I find this amplifies if I'm out in nature while I'm doing this. So I'll even have my back up against a tree, or my spine's against the tree, and I'll tone, or I'll have my feet on the ground. You can have socks, but usually bare feet's best. And I find I can actually, with that biofeedback tool, I can actually look at my coherence, and the coherence goes noticeably higher when I'm toning or chanting and outside. I've played with it inside, outside, in water, all different kind of conduits, and outside significantly over and over again. Gets me very high coherence scores. The vocal vibration directly stimulates the vagus nerve in your throat. So that's what's happening, but that's an easy one you can do as well, just to calm down.
Thank you. I think that's it for our presentation. This is now time where we can open it up to any questions, and I'd like for you to speak into this microphone. So whoever has a question, I'm going to go over to you or you.
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
So I guess this is a question for any of you, but a comment about what you, Kate, said. So we have this idea that the heart is the seat of emotions. And I'm wondering when that started. It must have predated any of the evidence. But what you're saying, it was like a lucky guess or spiritually discerned or intuition or something. But is this idea that the heart is the seat of emotions, is that consistent with what you're saying? And where did you know where all that idea started?
I'm not, that's a great question. I'm not sure of the exact origin. I feel like wherever you go in any text or anything, it just seems like thousands of years have been talking about this. But I don't know, I couldn't tell you the origin point. But yeah, mystics, scholars, everybody's been talking, I feel like, the heart for a very long time. Do you have more? Can you think about where it originated?
I don't know where it came from, and I don't even know. It sounds like Plato or something, somewhere way back, a long, long time ago. Maybe Greek, we can blame the Greeks for it or somebody, I don't know, but it's a good idea. I used to always say that you have a heart and it pumps blood, but it also pumps emotions. And now I know that's not true, because that's how Kate and I found each other, and we were both HeartMath certified. And so now we know that the heart is actually a center place of consciousness. And they try to measure, people like Dr. Joe Dispenza measure electromagnetic activity that comes off the body, and the heart always has the strongest pulse or expression. It can go out 6 to 8 feet. That's what he was told. And then he asked the guy who was doing the measurement, like, why do you always say it goes out 6 to 8 feet? And the guy said, well, that's as far as my instruments will go. So you wonder how far, like, what's electromagnetic energy? I mean, you could talk about that for a while, Larry, but there's something that goes off the heart space that is, I mean, we know it because that's why we hug people. I mean, that's why we express something from the heart space. And it's so, obviously so valuable. And to live from the heart, we can live from the mind. We do that a lot. We do it a whole lot. And we have a mind-centered town because we have science here. But there's probably a whole lot of heart going on across the bridge too, because there's the place of creativity, communication, connection, love. That's the heart. And the one thing that we're finding out about the heart, Kate began to talk about it too, about how it can override information to the brain. Coherence is important, but the heart can actually make a decision and override the brain. But here's another thing that we didn't talk about, so can the gut, because that's where the cranial nerves, there's 12 cranial nerves, the 10th one is the vagus nerve, and it goes, many of them go down to the gut. So those nerves send pulses and information, signals down, but they can go, nope, we're not doing that. Send it back up, depending on what kind of state your stomach or heart is in. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, Larry, but there's a whole lot can be said about the heart.
It sounds like what you're saying is that mind is not just a brain thing, but mind is the brain, heart, gut experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call it the heart brain gut axis, and mainly it's the axis because the vagus nerve can run through all of it in the nervous system. I'm sure I don't know as much about the gut as I do the heart, but I know there's also neurons in your gut that shoot, right, that also are communicating through via the vagus nerve.
That's where all the cranial nerves go, and there's 12 cranial nerves. So I don't know how many, I haven't looked this up before, but how many of the cranial nerves go down to the gut? Do they all go down there? They pass through the heart, obviously. So there's a lot, it's an information highway. And Dr. Joe Dispenza's work is that he maps out the energy centers of the body, and he accounts for 8. There's 7 on the body and then 1 up above. And each one of them has their own mini brain and their own nervous system and organs and glands that are connected to them. It's fascinating just to think of what that brain center does. Like, this is not just the only one. There's this one, and there's this one, this one. You know, they're all over. There's some outside the body, too. So, yes.
So this is really more of an answer to his question. Ancient Egypt was where they started making the correlation between heart and gut. They thought the brain was a cooling organ. So, you know, when you talk about mummification, they mummify the heart and the guts and everything else. They just kind of swirl around in the brain and get rid of it. And Aristotle picks this up in his understanding. However, the idea of passionate love or expression of passions, of energetic emotion, was located in the ancient world. But they had a very different understanding. It wasn't emotions and reason like being separate. There was passions and affections. There's some really complicated and wonderful books on ancient psychology. Emotions don't enter into the terminology until Descartes comes in. And then later on through one of the most disputed psychological papers in the history of psychology. I think it was William James or Henry James wrote an article on emotions that got picked up by experimental psychology in the 1880s. And that's where we get a lot of our modern linguistics around emotion. Anyway, sorry,
No, that's good. I appreciate that. I do take back my slander towards the Greeks because of your information.
Well,
So,
I don't know. I mean, slander them all they want. They would probably be okay with it. They like a good argument anyway.
yeah, that's good information. I like that a lot. Thank you so much.
I just heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza within the last month and started reading his book and talking to someone who just returned from one of his retreats. And I'm scheduled to go to my first one in Denver. And so, but my question to you is, I'm sorry, names. Kate, I forgot. Kate is, so what did you have to do to become certified in the HeartMath?
They have a general certification, and there's ones that are for healthcare professionals and ones that are not. But it's a course that took me many months to go through, and then you do so much work, and then there's a test at the end. And then the trauma one, I have to be honest, I thought the trauma one was much better. They created the first one during COVID times.
Is the trauma one through the HeartMath?
Yes, they're both through there. And there's several different versions. There's several certifications that they offer. The trauma one specifically was extremely well done. And they have Dr. Dan Siegel come on. There's quite a few people that come in to give different talks and really explain the systems. And it all really clicked for me then. And most of it was out in nature in California. They're out in Santa Cruz. It's all filmed out there by these beautiful redwoods and things like that. So it's gorgeous. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely doable. I like playing with the biofeedback. It was the tool my husband, who's a scientist, and me being a nurse, but also very spiritual, was like woo-woo met science. Where we could come together and agree was HeartMath. And I think they're doing a fabulous job. And there are a lot of free resources on their website. I like the biofeedback because I like to visually see things. I don't need it anymore. I know when I'm in coherence and when I'm not, but when you're in the beginning, you don't know, you're like, I think I feel it. Is this what this is? I don't know. It tells you exactly when you're in it or not, and there's games with it and things like that. So I think it's fun to play with. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I find myself absorbing other people's heart issues or sadness. So I'm trying to work on that. But as therapists, I guess I'm interested in how you guys are handling that, and maybe I can use some of your tools.
I'll do it. Okay. I got a program, and Kate was benefited by it. But that's a really great question, and it ends up kind of being put under the category of an empath. And I worked with a lady out of New Zealand for a few years, Anna Sace. I don't know if you know her, but she wrote a book called The Empath's Toolkit, which I would highly recommend. And then Judith Orloff wrote one, The Empath Survival Guide. Yeah, there's that one. So now here's a little secret. We're all empaths because we all have some sort of a recognition, whether it's emotional, and it doesn't, there's at least 10 different kinds of empathies. And one of them is intellectual empathy. There's environmental empathy. There's rock empathy, crystal empathy, animal empathy. There's a whole bunch of them. And so we all connect with the external world in a whole lot of different ways. So you might try to figure out which one you are, or several of them. And the only person that I know who knows how to do that, who does that here in this town is me. But I discern what people's empath gift is. So now, to answer your question, what do you do when fireworks are going off and people are having emotions and you feel like a lint trap in the dryer, or an emotional, whatever, fly trap, but you're just sucking it all up. And I've done it a lot. Other people, we've all done it to a certain, you go into a room, doesn't matter who you are, if you're more rational or more emotional, it doesn't matter. If you go into a room and somebody's going off and they're doing something, they're feeling sad or they're feeling angry, whatever, you know it, because it's behavioral, but it's also maybe something coming out of their mouth, you know. So you could just detect that whether they're saying something or not. So what you might say what you and I did, but I think I developed a meditation for you, didn't I? About yeah. Yeah. So there's Anna Sace taught me this too, because she wrote the book, but about creating really an energetic space around you. There's a way to do that. The one thing that I like to reference for people is something called a shield that you can actually put around you to protect you from other people. And it's a little prayer thing that I like to do with people frequently. It's probably one of the key parts of the energy work that I do with people is to offer a shield around you. And does it protect? I feel pretty good about it, you know, and I think a lot of other people do.
When I first started going to our meditation group, I actually couldn't go anymore. When we would actually meditate, my heart would go in the 150s, which is quite high for me, because I was picking up everyone's energy in that room around me, and it was a motley crew, and some people were recovering from alcoholism. There's all different reasons why people were there, and I could feel all of them. And I didn't realize it, and so I got so uncomfortable. And I tried it a couple more times, and then I tried to do it on Zoom. Like, maybe if I'm not physically there, I won't feel the same thing happen, even if I wasn't physically there. And so I was just gonna ghost out of meditation group with Tom. And so before ghosting, I talked to him and I said, listen, I'm having this thing that's like really uncomfortable when I go. And it like hurts almost. And and he told me about this. I'm like, oh, is this all I had to do? And I mean, it was a significant difference. And I mean, it took like 2 minutes. It wasn't anything major. And it feels like, am I just imagining there's a shield? And yes, but it worked. I can't tell you what it is, but yeah, and I have to sometimes strengthen it if I'm in a bigger group. But yeah, that really helped me so I could keep going, because I definitely picked up on all those energies, and it was a little overwhelming. Yeah.
Are we supposed to stop soon?
We can stop. Yeah, let's take one more. Is that okay? Here we go. Hold on. Yeah, use that one. Yeah.
So I was just talking to a gentleman earlier. I was a theater tech in high school, and then I was an AV tech in college. So I got a lot of professors shouting at me while they freaked out because their tech was going off. And I'm a folklorist, so I have both this artistic hang with the artists, gotta be really present, and then this like, it's all gonna be fine, folks, we're gonna get this figured out side. So they're like these two personalities, and I think of switching them on and off. And what I do is, the first thing in a meeting where everybody's being freaked out or whatever, is I have to acknowledge that there's some emotions I don't want to have. I don't want your anger. That's your problem, not my problem. And then I engage my Los Alamos, don't tell me what to do, I'm gonna think my way through this. That stubbornness that this town is so good at, like, I'm gonna do the opposite. And then I'm like, okay, I'm in my stubborn self, I'm gonna be chill. And it's funny because I have this overactive brain, but I use the overactive brain to be obnoxiously calm. Like, I'm not gonna let you get to me. That's not where we wanna go. We wanna go somewhere cool. So I use my stubbornness to get us where we wanna go, because I can go down the drain with you, or you can have a great time with me, and I like my idea better. So that's what I do. Doesn't always work.
One other thing that helps me if I say, my energy is mine, your energy is yours. I'll like physically say that out loud, because I am a pretty huge empath, and I can feel it pretty easily. So you can say it to yourself if you feel embarrassed to say that out loud, but that really helps me. I also will go ground. If it's really overwhelming, I literally go out and ground and get rid of the excess energy that these people or situation is putting upon me. But that helps too.
Oh, go ahead.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted to end our time, or do you want to end our time? Or Penny.
Will you be offering more of these sessions?
Only for you, Penny. It'll be a personal one. Okay, Mike, you can come. All right. Elizabeth,
But-
yes. Anybody? So
You said 5:30 on Thursdays.
yeah, our group
There
is
is
at
a group.
5:30 on Thursdays, and we do all sorts of things in that meditation
Here
room.
in the meditation room.
We
Yeah.
have a meditation room here. So I do want to.
I can show you afterwards.
Let's
we
all
can take a
walk
field
down
trip.
there right now, just like we're in kindergarten. So we wanted to, and I didn't check with Tina about this yet, or the church, but we'd like to offer that 3-day a 3-hour half day. Might as well, let's do 3 days. Come on, that'd be great. But at some point, and I'd like to maybe think about end of April or possibly May.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to even more exercises, right? And leave the gathering feeling as chill as you ever been in your whole life. So,
Heck yeah. Yeah. The other, I took a trauma-informed ministry course, and this is kind of where Tom and I kind of riffed off of to kind of get this going. And one of the somatic embodied practices too, like when we're experiencing other people's energy especially, is you just shake it off. Like do a big, like, just shake. Like if that's your thing, right? Like just shake it off. Oh, Kathy, yeah.
Just a comment of it.
Oh, yeah.
So just so everyone can hear. I was talking with our fabulous massage therapist this week about when your body is just really, and she talked about having seen a thing where when swans get into a conflict with each other, and they'll be going at each other, and then they step back and just flap their wings like crazy, which was just what you were doing, Tina.
So one thing we didn't talk about today is TRE, which is trauma release exercises, which is all about shaking. And that's for the workshop. So we'll do that then.
Yeah. Well, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll get you the information, get the information out through our announcements email list of when we'll collaborate to do the workshop. So make sure you sign up in the foyer. If you're not on our announcements listserv, you can get the information through there. Thank you.